want to thank so many of you that joined in on my garden tour that I did a few weeks ago, and I'm glad you liked it. So I thought today I would just walk through the garden with you. Now, you have to understand, my garden is a perennial garden. And what I love about a perennial garden is that every day you never know what's going to be blooming or changing. And I love that variety. So I love texture of the leaves and looking for those buds that are about to come up. So it's far different than planting an annual garden, but I love that adventure of my garden. So let's get going, and I'll show you some things that have happened even within a few weeks. It's been extremely hot here, and so things have wilted they've come and gone and wilted, but that's okay. Yeah, that's the excitement of my garden. So come on, let's see what surprises we can find. So you can see here my herbs are really growing up, and I keep cutting them back and using them, and the more you cut them, the more they grow. And just like this basil, did you know that if I take it and pinch off just a few sprigs of that, it makes the rest of the basil grow thicker down underneath. Another thing I discovered this year, and I never ever knew this, is this thyme. I never knew that there was a perennial lemon thyme that is edible, and it comes back every year. And that's what I love about this thyme. I always thought that it was just something that I had to plant every year, but that's not the case. And guess what I did? I decided, I'm going to take you over here, to take a little bit of that thyme, and guess what? Can you see the roots? So you can take what you want and even try to root it. So there's my herbs. My sage there is flowering. I love the flower. You can eat the sage flowers as well. And also the chives, the onion, the flowers of the chives, you can eat that as well. I'm gonna try and get in here without killing myself. And if I yell, it's because this rose bush, look at that. This rose bush belonged to my grandmother. And through the years, my mom had it. She passed it on to me. And I'm telling you, I wish you could smell the fragrance of this rose. It just wafts in the air. As kids, we used to pick these petals and dry them and put them under our pillows or in our drawers, our underwear drawers, just to keep it. It just was fun. The smell of it was just outstanding, even when they're dried. But I wish you could smell that. My lemon thyme smells amazing. And then this wild rose, I call it Grandma's wild rose. I have comfrey growing there. Goutweed, which some people don't like it, but I love the covering that it gives to my garden. And look at this. That wild rose is sending up some shoots. Now, see, I love that adventure of a perennial garden, and I will just leave that and see if that amounts into another rose bush. If I don't like it there, I can move it or give it away to somebody. And coming around here, my Solomon seal, the flowers are almost done, but look how stately those leaves are. I love it. Lots of hosta as fillers. Oh, there's a mummy. I don't know if you can see that. It's a baby robin. Two of them. Aw. They love the garden. All right, I'm gonna swing around here. My alum, my purple alum, are almost done. The color, that vibrant purple, but I'll tell you that the blooms, the dried blooms, stay forever, and they look like fireworks or sparklers that you see in the sky. I love it. Okay, now this, my climbing hydrangea. The flowers, they're not quite open, but the flowers of this hydrangea has another fragrance that is just unbelievable. So I'm going under that arbor where the hydrangea is, and I will swing around slowly to let you see this beautiful hydrangea, and that will pop all the flowers. The smell, and they're all over. In another week or so, the whole thing will be in full bloom. These blooms, the fragrant ones, attract the hummingbirds and the orioles. Lamb's ear, and the feel of that is just like a lamb's ear. When the grandkids come to feel that, it's so soft. And that's what I love about a perennial garden. It's just not the flowers, it's enjoying every one of those leaves, my sedum. I do have a couple of hanging baskets of geraniums because they're heat tolerant and they don't need a lot of, you don't have to fuss with them. But I don't know if you knew this, when you see the dried blooms, if you pick them off, just down at the bottom, pull it off, twist it carefully, and that will force your hydrangea to bloom more. These are tips that I've learned over the years. Maybe you know it, but sometimes we take for granted what people know and don't know. There are plants that are biennial. That means they should reseed themselves, like this pincushion flower. Let's show you that close. And snapdragons. There is another mass of that perennial lemon thyme. Worth the effort to find that, the smell when it rains. Beautiful. These peonies have sent, the heat is really played a toll on them, but I've planted peonies throughout the whole garden, and depending on where the light hits is where they will bloom. As you see, I have there's my snapdragons. I pack my perennials in pretty tight. So sometimes there is weeds, but if you packed your perennials in pretty tight, nobody would ever see the weeds except me. My peonies, these ones in this part of the garden are so tall this year, and when they bloom, they are going to be beautiful. You see the ants? Did you know that the ants, as they're after the nectar, it's them that opens up those peony leaves and petals? Amazing, isn't it, nature? Edible nasturtiums. You can eat the leaves and the flowers. They've got kind of a spicy cinnamon taste to them in a salad. Just a little bit. My rock garden of perennials. Succulents do so well in the heat, so these come back every year. Moss, and if you see, it's starting to flower. Even the blooms that have come and gone, what's left looks, I love it. Another biennial, remember what I said, are Sweet Williams, and there's one out and they will pop up all over. Another favorite of mine, I have too many, is coral bells. Look at the size of the flowers they send up, and look at the color. Coral bells come in all different colors and they mound so nice, but I love how they send up those tall flowers. And behind it, I have a lavender, another fragrant plant that you can dry. Their biennial is foxglove or digitalis, and look at the beauty of that. Look at that. My wanderings in my garden, a daily thing. This here is climbing columbine, and I'd never seen that ever before, and I came across that. The leaves are nice and purple, and look at these flowers. It's quite tall. And columbine. It is a biennial, and I'm telling you, they seem to spread their seeds through the whole garden, pop up everywhere. Here is a wild geranium, or a perennial geranium. If you can see the stamens, just beautiful. I always stick hosta, it gives another color. And then this, you have to see this. You ever heard of that song, The Yellow Rose of Texas? Look at the beauty of that rose, and the smell of it is amazing. I wish I could pass the smells along to you of that. And there's buds. It's full. So I hope you enjoyed that. A walkthrough through my perennial garden. And you know what? Gardening for me is fun, and it's creative. And you know what? My garden, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just packed of things that I love. And I'm not a slave to my garden because the rain and the sun, they just seem to grow and flourish. So I hope you give some perennials a try. Yes, there's been perennials I put in and they failed, or I move them around. But you know what? It's the little things in life that we need to keep ourselves going. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have any questions or comments, just let me know and I'd be happy to answer. So have a great day.